All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Beast Wars Transmetal Tarantulas, a very cool figure. Definitely one of my favorite Transmetal designs, and in fact, I think I like the Transmetal design for Tarantulas even a little bit more than his Season 1 regular design. It'd be cool if we got new versions of the Transmetals at some point. I mean, I know we've gotten a couple kind of Transmetal 2 guys, but it'd be cool if we got new versions of the regular Transmetal ones. Because Tarantulas, I feel like in Spider mode, he really does hold up. He looks like pretty accurate to how he did in the show, but there's like a couple issues in robot mode that, don't have him looking quite as good as he could. But yeah, no, a great looking Spider mode. The chrome is held up fairly well on mine. There's a few sort of chipped spots there, but for the most part, I think it still works. So there's a couple different ways you can kind of display him. In the show, he really is more kind of like down to the ground like this. What I tend to prefer to do is I kind of want to spread out the legs a little bit more. And to do that, you kind of have to like put these back legs sort of below this, which sort of changes the whole angle of it. But when you actually get it posed that way, he's kind of a bit more upright like this, and I think that looks a little bit cooler, a little bit more dynamic. It's a little bit less accurate to kind of like how he walked around in the show, but I just think that makes for kind of a really nice looking display there. And that way the back legs can actually go a little bit further back than rather than having to be like, way cramped up forward. But yeah, he does come with a weapon. It's just kind of stored underneath here. It just pegs in between both of his legs for the transformation, and it's also part of his sort of, Transmetal tertiary mode gimmick, which we'll get to. But it's just this little saw blade weapon there. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what he looks like with an average modern deluxe. Here he is with not Kingdom, Legacy Tarantulas, just so you can see what he looks like with the newest version of the character. Obviously, this one is based on the Season 1 design, and this is the Season 2 design, but still cool to see those two together. And then I don't have an original Season 1 Tarantulas, but I do have that bold and the Japanese colors for Black Arachnia, so you can see what the two of them look like together. I definitely prefer this one over over this figure. I just think it's a lot more solid as a toy. But yeah, that's what they look like together. But yeah, to get onto transformation, obviously we're going to go to the little tertiary mode first. For him, he's kind of like a motorcycle. So what you do is you take the weapon and it kind of folds down like that and rotates to the side to be the front wheel. And then this back wheel section, which I think looks really cool, kind of on the back of the spider mode, you kind of extend it out like this, and then you bend it in, I always forget which direction, this direction, until it kind of locks into place, and then you can rotate it like that to make the back wheel, and then you basically just take the spider legs and kind of, fold them up like this and get them a little bit out of the way. You can kind of use them as like kickstands, but overall, that's pretty much what you're looking at here. And I think that he has a pretty cool vehicle mode out of the Transmetal vehicle designs. I think this is one of my, again, another one of the ones that I like more. And the wheel can turn here, the front wheel, because it is his saw blade weapon, so you can actually get it with a bit of a turn radius. It rolls pretty well. I mean, obviously it's a motorcycle, so it will want to fall to one side or the other, but at least he's got the spider legs out to the side, so you can kind of do that, and it works okay. But yeah, to continue on to the rest of the transformation, this is pretty much just an intermediary step anyway. The back wheel here actually splits down the middle like this and kind of folds out to the side. You can take these sections, which will end up being the arms, and just fold them up to get them out of the way for now, so you can kind of bring these around. Take the entire front section with what will be the legs and bring it down. This is a good time to kind of, just split the legs and take the weapon out for now, rotate them around at the knees and fold down the feet. This is also where his Predacon rub sign is on the inside of the body that you can only really access during transformation. Well, I guess it's also on the bottom of the spider mode, but still, that's where it is. And you bring this down till it kind of clicks into place. And then you kind of just bring this section down so you can take these pieces, you straighten them back out again, and they kind of sit up into the body like this. And then the way to actually lock those in is you take the arm panels here and they kind of double hinge around. And then there's this little slot right here. I don't know if you can really see it on the armature section that will go into this tab right here on the shoulder section. And that's really what locks those wheels in place and keeps them from, continuing to rotate around. So they can be just shoulder pads that are static and in place in robot mode. And obviously we do that on both sides here. Then we can take this section with the head, you kind of separate it from the section with the spider legs, and then push the head out from underneath so it sits up like that, and then you can bring the chest down and click it into place. This little orange panel you just kind of bring to the back, and then these panels you also bring to the back, and then I usually just kind of, adjust the orientation of the spider legs so they sit up a little bit more like that, a bit more similar to how he had them in the show. And there we have Transmetal Tarantulas in his robot mode. And yeah, on his own, I think he looks really good. Not without issue, but that like a couple differences with the show design is he has two separate eyes rather than like the one visor, which doesn't make him super accurate. And then the other thing that's always really bugged me about his robot mode is how his hands are pointing forward like this. Like it's not even like he's got gorilla elbows because you can't even rotate the arms forward. So it's just his hands are perpetually, pointed forward like that. So I don't know. If they ever did an updated version of this guy, then it would be cool to actually see the claw hands rotated the other way. He can hold his weapon. He just kind of holds it weirdly like this in the palm of his hand, but that works and you can hold it like that. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated place for it to store. What I've kind of found is you can kind of take it and sort of like, just kind of wedge it into place between the back panel here and this orange panel. It sits like that. It's not like a super strong connection, but it stays well enough. So that works for me, even though it's not like actually a dedicated spot for it to store. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate around. It can also look up. It's one of those ones that like if you push it too far back, it kind of sinks into place and then it's hard to get it back out again without just opening this up, which is a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. The shoulders are on ball joints, which can rotate forward and back, though they do bump into the shoulder pads at a certain point and only about that far to the side. It's got a full elbow bend just from transformation. And like I said, unfortunately, no wrist movement. Nothing at the waist. Ball joints at the hips, which can go forward and not that far back because of this huge panel here and out to the side. It's got a ball jointed knee that gets about 90 degrees and then obviously also gives him a thigh swivel, and then the feet can tilt forward and back. And see, there we go, the weapon fell out. So, it stays in there well enough, but it's not a super firm connection. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, and you can see he's a pretty short deluxe, which is another one of the issues that I have with this figure, because he really doesn't scale super well with a lot of the other Beast Wars figures, just because in the show, Tarantulas in his Transmetal form was kind of huge. Like, he was like big and sort of like lumbering. And, if they ever did a new version of Transmetal Tarantulas, I'd really like them to do it maybe at a Voyager scale, because he really kind of did tower over some of the other, more deluxe sized characters there. Like we saw him with Black Arachnia a lot, which, for the sake of it, I didn't feel like putting her in her spider mode, but you can see it's like, it doesn't really work. Whereas he was really more like here on Black Arachnia. And granted, Kingdom Black Arachnia is a little bit taller in proportionate to other figures than she was in the show, but still it's like, it doesn't really kind of have that same sort of dynamic, but that's what they look like together. And then, going from one Black Arachnia to the other, here he is with the original Season 1 Tarantulas mold and the Black Arachnia colors. And then here he is again with Legacy Tarantula. So you can see even a little bit shorter than him, and obviously doesn't really work as an upgrade to him because his head is like a lot smaller. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to see a new version of Tarantulas because I do like this design a lot. There's just a few things about this figure. I was like, he's a bit too small. I hate how the hands are facing forward. I wish that the head sculpt was a little bit more accurate, but otherwise he's pretty good. He's a really solid figure. And definitely, if you're not looking for it to be, in scale with things or super, super accurate to how he was in the show, it is just like a really solid figure and it looks really nice on the shelf in both modes, but especially in that spider mode, I just think he looks perfect. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. A pretty decent figure, not without issues, but still a lot of fun and definitely worth a pickup if you're able to find it for a decent price. But yeah, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Beast Wars Transmetal 1 Tarantulas.